All right. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be in time and space. Kinneas here. Yeah, it's another Monday. My OBS didn't want to start. That's that's a Monday for you. So I've got I still have to do a number of VIP charter missions to unlock the next tier. So I found one today in the TBM-90. Check out the paint job on this thing. Let me get to the right screen. Having some lag. Interesting paint job. The last thing we did was the community fly-in. So let me check my sound settings. I'm not hearing anything. I may have turned everything down. Either that or something else is wrong. Yeah. I had it down so we could listen to the streamers. There we go. A little bit of noise. Okay, let's get things going and get off the ground here. I wish they would make the camera and movements outside here a little bit more smooth. Hope you had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. Did something different. I said I might be doing Manor Lords, but then they released a new NVIDIA driver that was specifically mostly for things like Half-Life 2, the RTX demo. And I have Half-Life 2 from what, like 2004? Something like that. Anyway, I thought I'd go ahead and download the demo, and since I have this RTX machine now, and give it a run through. And it was as creepy as I remember. I was hoping it was going to be the whole thing. When I first heard it was a Half-Life 2 RTX, I thought they'd be redoing the whole. I can't seem to grab that pedo. There we go. I was hoping it was going to be the whole, all of Half-Life redone, but it was not. Just 2 levels. But still, it was a lot of fun, and it definitely looks gorgeous. It's been so long, though, it's kind of hard to remember, how it looked originally. So I actually watched a couple of other live videos of side-by-side comparisons, and yeah, very, very nice. So if you're interested at all in that, I did it in 2 parts. It's like about 2 hours each.
So we begun boarding. Step aboard and make yourself comfortable.
Make sure that's off.
Local captain. They're on their way. A good flight.
Desktop audio should not be on. Okay. So,
Sir, be welcome.
Good afternoon, Captain. They mentioned at the gate that the network would be available throughout the flight. I need it for some important calls, Captain. So please make sure not to cut off my connection without notifying me.
Okay. All right. So I've also got Bush Talk Radio active. And there it is. And to show you where we're spawning at, we're up here. In Connecticut, and we'll be going crossing the border into Vermont. And that is where we're at. Plainville. There's Robertson's Field. Farmington. Let's see if the audio is working. Not yet. No.
Airport Systems,
there we go.
2017 to 2021 categorized it as a regional reliever airport facility. The airport is named after former Mayor Newton C. Brainerd. Brainerd Field was opened in 1921 in a former cow pasture in the southeast Hartford neighborhood of South Meadows. In the early 20th century, Amelia Earhart and Charles Lindbergh landed there to great acclaim. For its first decade, officials limited the airfield's use primarily to small passenger flights, but in 1933, city officials opened Brainerd to commercial traffic. Passenger airlines, such as American Airlines, Eastern Airlines, and Colonial Airlines served Brainerd. However, the airport could not handle the large Douglas DC-3 and heavier planes that became common by the 1930s. The weight of the planes was too much for grass runways. Later, the city would install a blacktop runway. Additionally, Brainerd could not accommodate large aircraft because its runways are too short. The airport's proximity to Connecticut River also resulted in fog problems.
All right, I think the audio's up just a little bit too loud. It's going to do a number on my ears. And let's turn down the engines a little bit. Okay. So yeah, if we travel within 1 mile of a point of interest, we'll get an audio tour from Bush Talk. Lord almighty, she wants to take off. Easy now.
Sir, I'm pleased to be your pilot today and to welcome you aboard this first-class wings flight to Linden. Estimated flight time is 32 minutes. We're on time for departure, and we're about to receive clearance for takeoff. I'll keep you updated with any important information throughout the flight. Thank you.
That's working. And that is working. Whoa, 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 whoa. Still having a wicked pull to the right problem. And again, I don't know if it's a joystick or a spring problem or if it's something in the simulator. Other people are reporting they're getting strong pulls to the right as well. So I'm not really sure.
Bravo, 8 traffic in Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5, 214, taking off runway 20 departure to the north.
And sit back and enjoy the flight here. You're always the VIP. Yeah, quickly go over a couple of things here and check the chat room. Make sure that's up on top. If anybody comes in. Okay. And we're public and good. Okay. Stall no heat and pedo no heat. And where are our other lights? Do. That's not them. There we go. Don't know what they're going to want us at, so let's just dial in like 10,000 start. Actually, let's just do 5. Okay. Oh, this thing does have a separator, right? Commercial separator. Just a tiny bit of nose trim up. Oh my, that happened to me the other day. There's nothing. I don't know what caused that. Again, now we're going to take another huge hit to reputation. So I'm getting really tired of this Asobo and Microsoft. As you saw, that happened to me the other day on the live stream as well. Just in the middle of taxi, right before we take off, just it crashes. So, you know, we're already going to take a, I don't know if it'll count. It's probably going to count, but that's one way to possibly try to avoid getting penalized is to try to abort the thing. But we've already crashed in it and it probably already registered it. I don't know. It's really sad. It's getting ridiculously sad. So now it's changed our flight plan. That's no longer the same flight. So now we're going to 7 to 4 V8. That sounds like a dirt. I don't know that I want to land on dirt. Yeah, it's just getting ridiculous. Great way to start the week. So if you rewind that and watch that again, there's nothing that I did wrong. I was just raising the nose, getting ready to lift off and raise the landing gear. Okay. So that one was from an airport to an airport. Came out to KCDA, so I'm gonna have to change the cover art and the title of this. Let's see if this one will work. Oh, it's so frustrating. Yeah, hey, in the chat room there's Ed. Yeah, it's exactly Ed. I'm glad you saw it. You know, I feel like all I do is complain lately, but you saw it. Absolutely, you saw it that time. I'm going to go ahead and skip the taxi. I don't care at this point. I just don't want the crash on my record. So yeah, no, I didn't do anything.
Hi team, ready to leave for Linden? I see you're already getting everything prepped for our passenger, Mrs. Perez de Tegel. We expect all of you to provide her with the best of service. I know I can count on you. Have a nice trip.
Kilo Mike Alpha Lima Traffic Kin Foxtrot Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree 9er taking off runway Tree 2 East departure.
say hello properly in the chat room. All right, well, we'll try it again. And it's something like that, you know, again, if you don't try to abort out of it, everybody's like, well, you can always hit abort. Well, in a case like that, that happens so fast, you can't. All you can do is try to go back and hit abort then, and hopefully that doesn't count against us. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, we got to do all that again. Oh, we're in a different aircraft, and now my camera controls aren't working. Boy. Why? Nope. That's working. That's working. But my cockpit camera to just translate left, right, up, down, back, forward. That's now blown out. Lord Almighty. Every time it's something, always something. Oh, well, let's just get going, see if we can get up in the air with this one without crashing. Okay, so far so good. We're up, at least. Landing gear up. Flaps retracted.
Center Kin Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner is type 1 miles northwest of Kilo Mike Alpha Lima, 1,000 feet. Request flight following.
King Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner Center. Squawk Tree 127.
Squawk Tree 127 Kin Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner.
King Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner radar contact 2 miles northwest of Kilo Mike Alpha Lima, 2,000 feet altimeter 2 Niner. 902.
Roger Kin Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner. Center Kin Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner 2 miles west of Kilo Mike Alpha Lima, 3,200 foot request IFR to Kilo Charlie Delta Alpha, ready to copy.
King Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner is cleared to Kilo Charlie Delta Alpha Airport as filed. Squawk Tree 127.
Kin Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner cleared to Kilo Charlie Delta Alpha Airport is filed. Squawk Tree 127.
King Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner read back correct. Radar contact 4,800 feet altimeter 2 Niner. 902 turn right heading 140, proceed on course climb and maintain 8,000 feet.
I'm sorry about my problems. I hope you had a great weekend. Okay. Trying to lose control of the plane while we look down here. Put the wing leveler on.
Charlie
Yes, I did.
Turn right heading 140, proceed on course climb, and maintain 8,000 foot Kin Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5, Tree Niner.
No waypoints, just straight there, huh? Okay. Yeah, so far so good. Easy plane. What are you doing?
Madam, glad to be your captain
What?
today.
What are you doing?
On behalf of First Class Wings on flight FCW 53-9, we are currently cruising at an altitude of 6,900 feet at an airspeed of 150 knots. It's 10:04 a.m. and are expecting to land in Linden approximately at 4:10 a.m. local time.
It.
A temperature of 4 degrees Fahrenheit. If the weather cooperates, we should get a great view of the area as we descend. I'll update you before we reach our destination. Until then,
So that just freaked the passengers out.
the rest of the flight.
I guess either autopilot didn't engage or I didn't double check it. Plane started flipping over. Typical Monday, Murphy's Law, man. Good. I'm glad you had a good weekend. I played the Half-Life 2 demo this weekend. About 4 hours, a little over 4 hours to complete. It wasn't the whole, I was hoping it was going to be a whole remaster of Half-Life 2, but it wasn't. It's just basically 2 modified levels. But that was a lot of fun. I haven't really done a first-person shooter or Half-Life kind of game in a long, long time. So I was a bit rusty and getting killed a lot. Doing stupid things a lot, blowing myself up a lot. But I have to say, it was very, very beautiful. The lighting is fantastic. The atmospherics, like when you step into an area that's lit really heavily with the light that's got fog in the area, that was a neat effect. The 3D textures on walls and everything, bricks, mortar, far out. Very good. So there's talk, there always is talk, actually there has been for a decade, that Half-Life 3 is on the way, but it seems to be ramping up, and it would be nice to get another Half-Life game. Can't believe it's taken them so long. Again, Half-Life 2 came out in 2004? That's a long time, and to just sit back on your laurels and not make anything. I guess they have done other things like Team Fortress and other things, but
Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5, Tree Niner, contact Boston Center on 120. Tree 5. Good day.
so if you're at all interested in that,
Charlie Whiskey 5, Tree Niner.
those 2 live streams are posted.
Boston Center Kin Foxtrot. Whiskey 5, Tree Niner.
I need to reorganize my channel and my playlists.
Tree Niner, Boston Center, altimeter 29er. 9er to radar, contact continued.
I need to re-engage the bush talk. Make sure that's on. And let's go make sure that we are It's still seeing us. And now we're moved. There we are. All right, we're getting ready to fly by this body of water here.
Werenrat Camp is a historic great camp located in Dannemora in Clinton County, New York. It was built in 1928 for opera singer Reynold Werenrat as a summer estate. The property includes the main house, a boathouse, an ice house, and 2 stone gate posts. The main house is a 2-story, rectangular, limestone sheathed dwelling measuring approximately 37 feet wide and 61 feet long. The interior has shingle style, Tudor Revival, and arts and crafts style design elements. It was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2010.
Wow. A house for an opera singer? Okay. Something right here. Dannemora and Cook Street. We'll be crossing that here in just a moment. A correctional facility. What's an escape?
The 2015 Clinton Correctional Facility escape took place on June 6, 2015, when 2 inmates, Richard Matt and David Sweat, were discovered missing during a 5:17 a.m. bed check at the maximum security Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora, New York. Matt was serving 25 years to life and Sweat was serving life without parole, both for murder.
Damn.
Prisoners had dug a tunnel out of the prison, with tools obtained from 2 cooperating prison employees. Nearly 3 weeks after the escape, Matt was found in Malone, New York, where he was shot and killed. 2 days after that, Sweat was shot and taken into custody. The manhunt and investigation was said to have cost about $23 million.
All right. So that is a correctional facility just over here somewhere. That's probably it there. Oh, Lord. There we go. Give me my external camera proper. All right, we're coming up on Plattsburgh. And we'll be crossing near this point.
The Old Stone Barracks is the last remaining structure of a proposed quadrangle of early U.S. Army barracks built at Plattsburgh, New York in 1838. Of the 4 main buildings initially planned for the Plattsburgh post, only 2 were ever constructed, an officer's barracks and an enlisted barracks which formed an L shape. The buildings were utilized by the Army for nearly a century. The officers' quarters, in which Lieutenant Ulysses S. Grant once stayed, was torn down by the U.S. Air Force during the winter of 1963. The remaining building, a 200-foot-long, 2-story old stone barracks, remained mostly empty after the early 1960s and was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1971. In December 2010, the barracks and more than 7 acres of property was offered to a Canadian real estate developer for $35,000 with the intention of building an apartment complex on the historic site. At the time, the barracks property was appraised at over $775,000 and the sale sparked public outcry for its preservation. In 2014, the The building was again sold to current owners Terry Schmaltz and Mary Theresa, who redeveloped it as the home of the Valcour Brewing Company. The new craft brewery
Schmaltz and Brewing
in 2016.
I wish that they would put their points of interest. I wish they could incorporate the Bush Talk Radio point of interest into the simulator, and that they would populate in here. It'd be really great. We could see some of these a little bit, identify some of these places a little bit easier. You heard, Ed heard that there was some weird update that kind of messed some things up with 2024. Well, yeah, things have been a little bit weird since System Update 1. I know that in the beta, the one that they're testing at the moment, people are, they got all their progress wiped out. So they're having some problems with that one. We've got this lurching problem. We've got pilots not appearing. That I've experienced that. I've got this lurching problem to the right. Having these weird crashes on takeoff like you just saw. When I spawn into certain ones, it says unexpected error and the mission's not available. So yeah, there's a considerable amount of problems at the moment. But, you know, they're under such scrutiny right now for all of these problems and for the horrible launch, and they really have to get things working right, because they had such a magnificent launch with relatively magnificent with 2020, and 2020 did so good, and for them to have such problems with 2024, it's really killing the reputation quick. And they just, you know, they got to get things working right. Yeah, the beta. Yeah. So, you know, I'll keep my fingers crossed, and, you know, I suppose that at the end of the day, I've got to always remember there was a period in time, Ed, and you'll probably remember years back, where we didn't have Microsoft Flight Simulator again. You know, Microsoft had canceled Microsoft Flight Simulator. They said they would never make it again. They were done. We had X-Plane, and they tried Flight Sim World, and we got the FSX on Steam, but we were all crying. For years, we were out there in the abyss crying our heads off because, you know, we wanted another good simulator. And then all of a sudden, you know, Microsoft did something nobody ever thought, and they at least came back and started making the simulator again. And what ASOBO did do, and what they did provide us, was far more than a lot of people expected. And I've just got to remember that, wow.
I should be there in something like 9 minutes, 30 seconds.
Wow.
It's a short hop, so wait for me, okay? Great. See you there.
Okay. So, you know, I've got to remember that, hey, you know, the last thing we want is for them to fail. And the last thing we want is to be crying again at some point in the future. So, yeah. So I try to keep that in the back of my mind, that we all want them to succeed. We want them to succeed. And it really is still far above and beyond what anybody else is doing. And in a lot of ways, they're still pioneering ground as they go. Nobody, you know, a lot of things that they're doing, nobody's ever done before. So they're kind of writing the book as they go. So it may not be perfect now, and can only hope it'll get better and better and better. Right. It's just today, you know, imagine another couple of years, another year, another 2 years. And again, we can only imagine how much better and the things that we'll be able to do down the road. I mean, we're already at the, I can't afford one, but like the 5090 series graphics cards in a couple more years, what the graphics are going to be able to do and what they're going to be able to do. And provided we don't expire anytime soon, we're going to see some amazing stuff from here going forward. I've seen some demos from these new graphics cards, which are pumping out. It looks like, best way I can say it is almost like the Panavision, Super Panavision, like they're doing all these AI videos, the AI remakes of Star Wars and AI remakes of other things, and making them like 1950s, 70s Panavision.
Hi. How are you?
Center Kin Foxtrot.
Wow, everybody's talking at once.
Everything is ready for the arrival? Fine. Can't wait.
Kin Foxtrot, Charlie
See you
Whiskey
there.
5,
Bye.
Tree, Niner Boston Center.
So, seeing these video cards doing, you know, much improved lighting, and I don't know, it just, I think it's going to get really, really good. I'm already looking forward to buying another computer in 5 years. Got to remain hopeful.
Foxtrot, Charlie Whiskey 5, Treaty Niner would like to cancel IFR.
Same things like this too, other little bugs where you go to respond to something and then it starts overlapping the audio. Like as soon as you start talking, it's the people start talking, or you know, they got to work out little things like that too. Everybody's talking on top of one another. Transmissions are coming in on top of one another. They got to get the AI in there to be a little bit smarter about, oh, somebody's talking. I'll just pause for 2 seconds more. Yeah. Have you, let me check out, I'm surprised you don't have anything up on your channel yet. I'd like to see some of your flying. All right, let's see if there's anything interesting nearby. No, just a couple of forests off to the south.
Smuggler's Notch State Park near Stowe in Lamoille County, Vermont, United States. The park is at an elevation of 2,000.
I wonder what they did there a lot in their past.
Mansfield, and is named for Smuggler's Notch, which separates Mount Mansfield, the highest peak of the Green Mountains, from
Nice.
Peak and the Sterling Range. Smuggler's Notch is named for the smuggling that was prompted by a request of President Thomas Jefferson to prevent American involvement in the Napoleonic Wars.
Wow.
United States Congress passed the Embargo Act of 1807, which prohibited American trade with Great Britain and Canada. The British bypassed the embargo by importing products to Canada, and they were smuggled down mountain trails through Smuggler's Notch by Vermonters.
So I guess I'm maybe not understanding, or I didn't hear it right. I wonder if she was saying that. So we were having a conflict in the Napoleonic Wars, and they didn't want to trade with the UK or Canada, but they're saying that the people in Vermont were like, that's the way I got it. That they're like, yeah, hell with that. And they were smuggling stuff. Man, it's kind of like today. I know that we're mostly friends, but there's so much tension going on right now. The people up in Vermont are, I hope you're not from there. They seem certifiable. I mean, just an enclave of, and I probably better avoid talking about anything to do with politics, making comments like that. "21 miles. At least it's a lovely day for flying. Not a cloud in the sky. Come a long way. I can remember the very, I'm old enough to remember the very first video games. Pong. Space Invaders. And over the years, finding plenty of games that were just wireframe. Enjoyable. So that's another thing when I look at stuff like this and what I was doing this weekend in Half-Life, and I'm just glad that I have made it to see this level of computing and this level of graphics, because I didn't imagine that I would see something this good in my life. And thank goodness for Moore's Law speeding things up. And it was a long road getting from there to here, as they say. I remember when I first learned about Moore's Law, and we were dealing with the best computer at the time was a 286. A 286, and maybe 16 kilobytes of RAM. And it really didn't do any graphics. I mean, wireframe. But I remember learning about Moore's Law, and at that point in my life being so sad, because it was going to take decades. I knew that we would eventually get to this point. But again, you have to wait for everything going back. You have to wait for everything every 12 to 18 months for things to double. And knowing that we weren't going to get to this kind of power until right around now. But then you kind of factor in like, will I be alive by then? It's going to be a long, long, long road. But anyway, I'm starting to get really old, and I'm actually starting to get gray, and I can't believe it. Still feel like I'm 13. But I'm really happy to be alive to see this. And again, I hope, got my fingers crossed, I can be around for a lot longer.
Charlie Whiskey 5, tree 9er 7 miles.
And see some amazing stuff.
To land runway 20.
Life is too short, man. I want another 100 years. I want to see where we're going to be in 25, 50, 100 years from now. That's a real shame, because it's just now starting to get really, really, really good. We're already here. I'm not paying attention over here talking about things and being nostalgic and not paying attention to what I need to do. And there's our final there. So let's turn off the autopilot. And we want the final there. Cut the speed. Don't want to descend too fast. Let the speed slow down. So we'll go over there and follow those in, do a teardrop, and come back around. I already freaked out the people in this aircraft once. What's the earliest video game you can remember? What was your very first video game? This will let me know how old you are, approximately. That goes for anybody out there who might be tuning in and watching. What was your first video game that you can remember playing? Holy moly. Yeah, I hope so too. Okay, so heck, Ed, I thought for sure I was older than you. But I am not, sir. I am, virtual salute. You're the elder here. I'm preaching to the choir. So you're old enough to actually remember the end of the 60s, where I came in at 68. So, you know, I was already, by the time you're aware of the world, we were already transitioning into the 70s. Everything to me felt really dirty as a kid. I honestly didn't enjoy society in the late 60s. 70s were better. Everybody started getting a little bit groovy and hippie, but even then I really wasn't. I don't know, as a kid I didn't really dig hippie stuff. It was okay. But I saw culture and society like, I don't know, I don't know. Like the way we remember New York City in the late 60s and 70s. That kind of lifestyle and gangs and drugs and decay, and I don't know. I didn't dig being a little kid. I didn't. Everybody was very strange. Everybody was weird. My family, for the most part, were okay, but everybody else in the world to me was freaking weird. All of their friends were freaking weird. I never felt comfortable around anybody. I'm like, this is, I don't know what planet I'm on. And I've always been dreaming about the future. I've always been dreaming about Star Trek and wanting to be in the future, Star Wars and Star Trek, and then we went through that. I don't know, the best way I can describe it is we lived through the Dukes of Hazzard years. I mean, that's the way society kind of was in some areas, very Dukes of Hazzard-y. The urban cowboy times. I enjoyed the hell out of the 80s. I really thought, okay, now we're getting somewhere. And, of course, the 80s music. Although the 70s, some of the 70s stuff, it's just, wow. It was the best. Commodore 64. Only the rich kids had the Commodore 64s. I didn't even have one of those. My buddies had the Ataris, but they were kind of a rich family. Closest I got was like a TRS-80 from Radio Shack, but that wasn't even mine. That was another friend of mine. I can remember playing Dino Wars on the Radio Shack Tandy computers with the cassette drives. What part of the United States did you grow up in? And are you still there? I was born and raised in Germany for the first year only. Dad was an army dude. And then it was Colorado Springs, Colorado for most of my life, and I'm still here. But a short stint in Wyoming, which is cool. And college was in Kansas City, Missouri, and that was kind of cool. Short time in California, in the Mojave Desert near China Lake Naval Weapons Center, and Sacramento for a time. But mostly here in lovely Colorado Springs, Colorado. Okay, so I'm having that bug again, or where the gear is tied to my flaps. Which way I'm going. Going through that one and then that way. I've been getting lazy. I don't look at charts anymore. These boxes in the sky allow us to just be so lazy now. Not having to look up airports and yeah, that's a hell of a descent. At least they cut the trees back far enough from the runway where you don't have to do a stupid descent. A little rough. Low R. So that's been happening too, where all of a sudden, right now, press R to announce taxi to parking. Where that goes out, it just stops working. And now you've got to bring up your communications and do it this way.
Kilo Charlie Delta Alpha Traffic Kin Foxtrot Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner is taxiing to runway 20.
No, I'm taxiing to parking.
Kilo Charlie Delta Alpha Traffic Kin Foxtrot Charlie Whiskey 5 Tree Niner is taxiing to parking.
There we go. So now pressing R again. Passenger landing information via intercom or press R. Not working. I think... No. I was sitting there tapping the R key.
Welcome to Caledonia County.
Okay, it toggled.
It's 10:41 a.m. For your safety, the captain has requested that you remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until we come to a complete stop and the seatbelt sign is turned off. Please make sure you take all your belongings with you when you get off. On behalf of the entire company, we would like to thank you for choosing First Class Wings. We look forward to seeing you again and wish you a pleasant stay in Linden.
All right, Ohio. We were just flying around there, I want to say last week. A lot of good history and pretty.
Already arrived? Time flies.
It does.
Wrapped up my We'll totally recommend this company.
Well, I appreciate that. Give me a B, please. I don't know if they're going to like that landing. And I freaked her out earlier, so let's see what we got. Come on. Shut down. Yeah, passenger satisfaction killed me there. She still said cool, though. Okay, good. Oh, all right, great. We got an A. Good. So this one will count towards our... Let me see how many we need to do. Probably six still. I want to unlock the advanced VIP flying, or the next tier of VIP. Oh, good. They're actually giving us a larger chunk of reputation for that. Good. Okay. So what I'm trying to unlock is... Not this. Sorry. I am trying to unlock Charter Service VIP. I'm not sure what the difference is between the one that I'm currently doing. Charter Service, these are private. Charter Service private. Charter Service VIP. But it says we still need to do 5 more private charters with a B or above to unlock this. Okay. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for today's flight. And I will see everybody tomorrow for the episode 260. 260. So it was good seeing you, Ed. Good talking to you. And yeah, hopefully we both make it a lot longer. Got my fingers crossed. I'm doing that right now. Grab my coffee. Cheers. Here's to your health, well-being, and prosperity. Yep. Have you know? Look at my character. That's another. It's not a bug, but he's not sitting down. Not that he has to be sitting down, but he's not sitting down. Maybe he knows that I'm done live streaming for the day, and he's like, "Come on, let's get out of here." The other day, he was missing altogether after a crash, and I'm like, maybe it thinks we're dead. It was just an empty office. Oh, you have the third-party software. They said, the developers said recently that they're going to do updated Denver, which is going to be really nice. I wish they would just do all of Colorado, but Denver would be nice. I haven't lived in Denver for a long time. I'm in the Springs now, which is about an hour south, an hour west, actually, more so west. But Denver already looks pretty good, but it will be nice to have the Denver Broncos Stadium looking a little bit better. Hopefully we get a more handcrafted one. And our downtown is pretty neat. Got Coors Field. Okay. Well, I will see you tomorrow. Possibly Ed, and see everybody else tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in today and catching this VIP flight with me. And we'll see what pops up for tomorrow. Have a great afternoon, great evening.